In our last video, we learned how some roots are modified to store food and how they help the plant to survive through the bad times. When I say bad times, I mean when plants do not have enough food. In this video, we will learn how roots modify themselves or change themselves or take up special function of helping plants with a weak stem. Now remember, plants that have a weak stem suffer from difficulty in obtaining sunlight. Let me just sketch something a little bit for you. So here what we have is, in this picture here to your left on the screen, is a plant with a weak stem. Now if you look, why is the stem weak? Because the plant is growing inside this pot. So you can see this pot here. Okay, so we have a pot here. From inside the pot, these plants, rather than growing upwards, the plant has a weak stem and they're falling down. Now as they fall down, they will get less of light. Now this is in the pot, but when such plants are on the soil, so for example, let's say this is the soil in red, and let me draw a plant. So if this is a plant with a weak stem, it will simply grow sideways on the soil. But if there is, let's say, a big tree, the tree will be so large that it will stop all the sunlight that is coming down towards the plant, and the plant will get very less sunlight. And these plants cannot get enough of sunlight, won't make enough of food, and they will then die. Right? So some plants have modified roots which help the plants to get more of this sunlight. Now think about this. What should this plant do with a weak stem to get more sunlight? Now if this plant learns somehow to climb upwards, then it can get more sunlight. Now let us look at such a plant. Now here in this image down here is a plant, and this plant is growing on the bark of a tree. So bark is the outermost covering on the stem of the tree or the trunk of the tree. So here, this part here is the bark of a tree, and you see these particular long thin stem like structures. This is the ivy plant, IVY. It's a decorative plant also. Now this has such a weak stem that it cannot get enough of sunlight if it stays on the soil, right? So if ivy stays on the soil, it will not get enough of sunlight. So what ivy has learned, it has special roots called climbing roots. So let me zoom in and show you the climbing roots. Now this is the stem, right? Here we have the stem. So this is the stem. But if you look closely, let me just narrow down my marker and turn it, let's say, red. Now if you look closely, look here, can you see these roots here and these roots and so many roots that are coming out of the stem? Remember now that these roots are coming out of the stem, and these stems, what do? They are not there to take water from the bark of the tree, right? What their function, or to absorb nutrients, but their function is to support this plant to move upwards on the tree. So these roots, they get inside the bark, and if you look here, you can actually see that the root has grown inside the bark. And what these climbing roots are helping the ivy plant to do, they are holding the tree. So now the ivy plant is holding the tree and it is growing along with the tree. Now let me just rub this off and draw a little bit of the tree and show you how this is working. So let me use the purple thing to draw the trunk of the tree. So let's say this is the trunk of the tree, and now ivy plant on the ground, and let's draw ivy with a red pen. So here ivy is growing on the ground, not getting enough of light, but once it gets to the tree, it can climb now. It can climb with the tree to the top. And if the ivy plant can climb to the top, it can also get enough of sunlight. So climbing roots are also modified roots. These are special roots. When I say the word modified, I mean they have taken up some special function. So these roots are called climbing roots in ivy plant, and they help the plant to climb upwards so that it can get more light. I will see you in the next video with some other problem of the plant.